First, a pop quiz. Do you know what this is? If you do, you've come to the right place. This is the Kazdoy Closet. I'm Kazdoy. This is my closet full of all the stuff that I love. And today, a trip back to the 60s and 70s, where we look at 3 super deluxe box sets from one of that era's greatest bands, The Who. At the end of this video, I'll be ranking these box sets and other Who albums, and I'm going to tell you what I think is a perfect rock album. I'm going to go in chronological order, just show you briefly what the box looks like, and then I'll get deeper into what's inside the box in a few seconds, and I'll give you my brief impressions of the albums in general. So this is the first one. This is The Who Sell Out, and it's from 1967, and the same year that the big concept albums Pet Sounds by the Beach Boys and Sgt. Pepper, of course, by the Beatles came out. I don't think this one is quite as cohesive in its concept as those albums were, but it's still a lot of fun, and they use a lot more humor than those albums did. It really celebrates a time when AM radio ruled the airwaves, and it also comments on consumerism and uses a lot of advertising jingles and ads interspersed between the songs, and even some of the songs are about those products. And you can see some of these products on the cover there. There are the boys posing, and apparently Roger Daltrey got quite ill from sitting in those cold baked beans for so long. And these products also are the topic of some of the songs in here. There's the other 2 guys. So great cover. And it's aimed at teenagers, all the products, pimple cream, deodorant, the old Charles Atlas dynamic tension, like if some bully kicks sand in your face, how to bulk up and beat them up once you get muscular. And actually Pete Townsend, the main songwriter and one of the singers and the guitarist for The Who, of course, that's him right there. He was actually considering going into advertising as a jingle writer and a songwriter in case the whole music thing didn't work out. So this is The Who Sell Out, and we'll get into this a little bit later. 2 years later, The Who came out with Tommy in 1969. When this first came out, I was really intrigued by it. I was about 13 years old. My brother's 3 years older, so he was really more a kid of the 60s, full-fledged. And I asked him about this album. He said, well, I think it's all instrumental, which was kind of odd, but there are instrumental passages in it. He was more of a Dylan, Cream, blues type of guy. He was not a real Who fan, but I was just fascinated by the cover. I mean, it's just a great cover. You can see the band members in some of those little squares. And then it was a trifold cover, so folded 3 ways. And then in the very back, there's like a fist pounding through it. There's some other illustrations in the book that I'll show you later on. But I was just totally intrigued. What is this about? This weird cover. It's 2 albums. And what is this story about this guy who's deaf, dumb, and blind, and he's abused by different people in his family, and he becomes this pinball wizard, and then he becomes sort of a messiah, and people are following him, then people go against him, and it was just so odd. And singers are playing different characters in the album. And when I was really closely reading the lyrics and into the story and trying to figure out what it all meant, and then when Tommy, the character, finally shows up in the album, I got chills just hearing him because I was so into the story of it. And it is also different because there's an overture and an underture and some repeated motifs in various songs. I had never heard this before in any kind of rock and roll album. So we'll get into what's in this box set in a few minutes. The third Super Deluxe Edition box set I want to show you is The Who Quadrophenia. This is the tour I saw with the original band when this album came out. For some strange reason, I never listened to the whole album until many years later. But it's another concept album, just like Tommy and just like The Who Sell Out. It's about a teenager who's being pulled in different directions. That's why he says he's suffering from quadrophenia instead of schizophrenia. And just the various issues that a lot of young people face. Self-doubt, crappy jobs, what's my future going to be, who am I, what's my identity, what about girls, what about drugs, what about my friends. And like Tommy, it was a double album, and they added some horns, they added some sound effects, and you have singers playing different characters again, and then some recurring motifs as well. So let's take a look at all three of these box sets in detail. Let's take a quick look at these box sets. This is the newest one. Ironically, it's the oldest album of the three, but this is the Who Sell Out. And let's take a look inside. And all of these has very nice, thick, hard covers to them. And we're going to put this aside for a minute and take a look at the main attraction, which is the book. All of these books are about 80 pages. They're hardbound, they're glossy, and let's take a look at what the discs are first. So we have 4 discs in this one. This one is the original mono album, and then some bonus tracks down here. This is the original stereo album. Most people seem to think that this particular album sounds better in mono than it does in stereo. I also like how they have the ads behind each of these. And then there's 2 more discs. Sorry, 3 more discs. And this one is The Who Studio Sessions, 1967, 1968. So this is a lot of stuff that was not included on this album, and some that were. And this one is The Road to Tommy. Now what that means is some of the songs on The Who Sell Out have a little sneak preview of some of the songs that showed up on Tommy later. And then finally, this is Pete Townshend's demos. Now, all 3 of these box sets have his demos, and his demos were so complete and detailed that he would bring them in after working on them himself to the rest of the band, and the rest of the band had a very easy time figuring out what he wanted and how to flesh them out to the final versions. And then the book is very nicely done, glossy, full color, some background photos and background writing. Is an introduction by Pete Townshend about the album. There's a picture of Jimi Hendrix, who they performed with several times. There's some outtakes from the photo sessions. And then there are the complete lyrics and track-by-track annotation of each song per CD. Now the other item in here comes under the category of stuff I'll probably never look at, but let's take a look at it anyways. That's basically a lot of memorabilia. Now if you remember, I showed this at the very beginning of this video, and what this is an adapter that fits into the center of the single, so you can play it on your record player. So this has 2 picture sleeve singles. I don't have a record player anymore. I don't have any vinyl anymore. Every time I watch Bosch and I see him playing those jazz albums, it makes me want to get a record player, but I'm just not going to go down that rabbit hole. And then there's some memorabilia in here, a couple of business cards from places they performed, some flyers for their early gigs, bumper sticker. I'm not going to do anything with this stuff. Fan club letter, little program of the places they played at. glossy photo, and then a couple of posters. Do I really need to open these posters up? Okay, let me try. You can kind of see part of it. It's a pretty big poster of The Who, Sell Out. And then there's one that's basically an ad for one of their shows. Can't see the whole thing, but you get the idea. So that's the extra stuff and The Who, Sell Out. But like I said, the main attraction for me is the book and the CDs. Continuing our chronological amazing journey, this is the Tommy box. And the only extra in here is another poster. I like this one better. This one's more suitable for framing. So it's The Who, and there they are. It's a poster for a concert. And then we have the nice hardcover box again. And these are the illustrations that were in the original album, if you recall. Let's take a look at what discs are in here. This one has 4, and this first one is, let's look at this notes here, is Tommy, the original album remastered. Disc 2 is the demos and the outtakes. Again, Pete Townshend's very complete demos. Disc 3 is the 5.1 mix. I believe that's an audio Blu-ray, something I'm never going to listen to because I do not have a surround sound system. And this one is the live bootleg album, which is something that Pete Townshend wanted erased. He did not like how it came out. He didn't like how it sounded. And you know what? I think he's right, because I've heard this and I much prefer the studio version, but it's still interesting to hear if you're a fan. So that's Tommy live that Pete Townshend was not happy about, but you know, he put his stamp of approval on this box set, so I assume that he finally came to terms with it. This is another great book, another 80-page book, glossy, full color, annotated tracks, a lot of artwork, story about the cover. There's some of the artwork from the original album that I recall. Very cool. I would listen to it and look at this artwork in the album. That's when he blasts through the mirror. That's near the end where he's like the Messiah. Anyways, full lyrics, track by track annotation again on this Tommy one. The book goes into detail about how much research Pete Townshend did when he was writing the background story for Tommy, including about abuse and even about autism, because he read about one kid who would stare into the mirror for hours every day, and the mirror plays a big role in this story and in this album. It was originally called The Amazing Journey, and then he also called it Deaf, Dumb, and Blind Boy before settling on the title of Tommy. Now, I've heard several live versions of Tommy, some with an orchestra, some with The Who live, some with other artists doing different songs from Tommy, and I've seen the play maybe 3 times. And even after all that, I still think the best version is the original studio version of Tommy. And finally, we have the Quadrophenia Super Deluxe box set. I really like the cover of this one too, and you can see the faces of the band members in the rearview mirrors here. And then there's his scooter in the ocean, because the sea is sort of a recurring motif in this album. And the extras in here include a really nice poster, which is the Quadrophenia ad. I know I'm not opening this up all the way, but hopefully you get the idea. And then this envelope with a few odds and ends. Most of it are like Pete Townshend's handwritten notes. There's a photograph from the guy who was in the photographs. His notes. He would write out entire descriptions of what's going on in these albums. There's one for Tommy, and there's one for Quadrophenia. The whole story in prose of what his vision is. So a lot of work. This really shows his creative process, how he changed some of the lyrics. So really a deep dive into Quadrophenia. And let's see what else is in here. I can't remember. I think it might be a single. Yes, it's a single for the song 515, and then Water on the other side. Okay. And then, of course, a nice book. There's the back cover. And there's the cover of the amp, or some of the studio equipment. And there is, you can see Pete's photograph kind of blurred into it. And let's see what discs there are in this one. We have 3, and I think, well, let's see what they are. This one is the demos. This one is the 5.1 surround sound mix, the one again that I will never listen to. This is more demos. This was a double album, just like Tommy was. So there's a lot of material on here. And I guess I made a mistake because there are actually 5. Because I'm wondering, where's the original album? Well, there's the original album, Quadrophenia. And disc 2, Quadrophenia. And the usual stuff. We have an introduction by Pete Townsend. A lot of photographs, his notes, how he changed things up, how he got the idea for it. I think this is the book where which is entirely written by Pete Townsend. The lyrics, photos to go with the album and kind of set the mood. Really nice stuff here. Very good photographs. And then a track by track description of what's going on. So another excellent box set. Now, these boxes are really cool. They have stuff in there I'm really not going to look at or use, but I still like them, and the music's really the main thing, and of course those very nice hardbound books. These box sets are going for a lot. Well, the Who Sell Out is fairly new, and that was a gift, but it was going for about $100, so that's not bad. The Tommy box set is going on Amazon new for $700, which is amazing. I paid about $100 for that one too. And then the Quadrophenia one is not quite as expensive, but new, that's going for about $325. So again, that was a gift to me, but I think it was about $100 also. So the good news is, of course, you can just get single editions. You don't need all the bells and whistles and the box sets and all that stuff. And you can also, if you stream them, if you have a streaming service, and I think even the entire box sets are on the streaming services too, so that's pretty good. What I want to do now is I want to indulge myself by ranking my top 5 Who albums, starting with number 5. And that's going to be The Who Live at Leeds. Doesn't mean I don't like it. I love it. But this is number 5. It's from 1970. This is the deluxe edition. And it's 2-disc set. 1 disc is Tommy Live. And the other disc is The Who Live at Leeds with some extra tracks that I think were never released. But it has some of those epic versions of Magic Bus and My Generation, clocking in at 15 minutes, Summertime Blues, and even stuff as old as Fortune Teller and I Can't Explain on here. Let's see, going to number 4, I'm going to say that one will be The Who Sell Out. I'm liking this more and more. It's It's a little dated, especially the first track is a little too psychedelic, and some of them are a little too hippie, but still a lot of fun to listen to. Number 3, I'm going to go with Quadrophenia. Great album. Number 2, Tommy. Special place in my heart. I've listened to this so many times. And number 1 Who album for me is what I think is a perfect rock album, and that is Who's Next. And if they ever make a deluxe box set out of this, I'm definitely going to get it first time out. This is the deluxe edition. It's 2 discs. Disc 2 is live with a lot of the material from Who's Next. And disc 1 has the original album and then has some extra stuff that are cover songs and stuff from Who's Next and stuff that ended up on Pete Townshend's solo albums. So those are my top 5. So number 1, Who's Next? Great album. Every time I listen to it, it's like every song is a home run. Hope you like this video. Leave a suggestion or a comment down there. Agree or disagree. That's cool. Feel free to leave a thumbs up. Don't leave a thumbs down. Subscribe would be great. Share this with your friends, neighbors, and fellow music fans. Otherwise, I thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.